Ethan Walker sat in his small apartment on Earth, drinking cold coffee and staring at the silent night sky. He was tired after another long day at work, and he dreamed of something new, something strange, something exciting. But he never expected that his life would change because of an alien friend he had not seen for 2 years. Ethan's old communicator suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow. He frowned because only one person ever used this device, Corlax, his alien friend from the trading moons of the Outer Belt. Ethan tapped the screen, and a recorded message started to play. Corlax's deep voice echoed. "Ethan, my human friend, I must leave this galaxy. I do not know if I will return. I leave you my restaurant on Moon Ridge Station. Please take care of it for me." The message ended quickly, without any explanation. No goodbye, no details, nothing. Ethan sat frozen, confused and shocked. A restaurant, a whole alien restaurant. Why would Corlax give him something so big, so strange, so far away? And why did Corlax say he was leaving the galaxy? Ethan felt a strange chill at the thought. 2 days later, Ethan stood on the deck of a small shuttle ship, watching Moon Ridge Station grow larger in the window. It was a busy place filled with hundreds of alien visitors from different worlds. But Ethan felt alone and nervous as he walked through the loud metal hallways. He followed the map Corlax left for him until he reached a door with glowing red letters. Corlax's haven food for all travelers. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped inside. He expected an empty restaurant, cold and dusty, waiting for a new owner. Instead, he froze in place, because 2 figures were standing in the middle of the dining hall, watching him silently. One was a tall alien woman with silver blue skin and glowing white eyes. The other was a young girl who looked like a smaller version of her mother. Both stared at Ethan as if they had been waiting for him for a long time. "You must be Ethan," the alien woman said in a calm voice. "I am Serana, and this is my daughter Luma." Ethan blinked in confusion. He remembered Corlax speaking about his family long ago, but he never expected them to still be here. "I thought the restaurant was empty," Ethan said. Trying to understand the situation, Serana shook her head slowly. "Corlax told us to stay here until you arrived," she said. Ethan felt a strange pressure in his chest. "Why would he do that?" he asked softly. Serana looked away as if hiding pain. Corlax did not explain, she said. "He only said, we should trust you." Ethan's mind raced. Why would an alien scientist and chef leave his human friend in charge of not just a restaurant, but also his family? Something was wrong. Something big. Something dangerous, but Serana and Luma looked tired. Worried and alone, Ethan could not bring himself to step back. Luma, the little girl, stepped forward quietly. She had bright, curious eyes and held a glowing stone in her hands. "Papa said, you are brave," she whispered. Ethan felt a sharp twist in his heart. He had never thought of himself as brave. He was just a normal Earth guy trying to survive. But now this child looked at him like he was someone important. Someone strong. Serana motioned for him to follow. "I will show you the restaurant," she said. As they walked through the place, Ethan noticed something strange. The restaurant did not look like a normal eating place. There were heavy metal doors, reinforced windows, and strange machines humming in the walls. It felt more like a fortress than a kitchen. Serana finally brought him to a small office at the back. On the table lay a device with Corlax's symbol on it. "This arrived yesterday," Serana said. Ethan picked it up and the device activated. A short message appeared, only 1 sentence long. But it filled Ethan with cold fear. "Ethan, protect them at all costs," Corlax's voice said. No more words followed. The device went silent again. Ethan stared at it, then at Serana, then at Luma. He did not know what he had walked into, but he knew one thing for sure. His life would never be normal again, And somewhere far away in the galaxy, something dangerous was coming, searching, hunting. And it was coming straight for this restaurant. Ethan woke up early the next day with a strange mix of fear and responsibility in his chest. He was now the owner of an alien restaurant he did not understand. He was living with an alien woman and her daughter. And he had no idea why Korlax trusted him with them. Everything felt confusing, but Ethan knew he had to learn quickly. The restaurant lights flickered on as Serana entered the kitchen. Her movements were quiet and smooth, like someone who had lived here for years. Luma followed her, holding a small, glowing tablet. Drawing shapes with her finger, Ethan stood by the doorway and watched them. Feeling like an outsider in his own place, Serana noticed him and gave a soft nod. "We open in 1 hour," she said. Ethan almost choked. "We open? As in, serve food? To real alien customers?" He asked. Serana raised an eyebrow. "Yes. This restaurant is known across many systems," she replied. "Customers will come. And they will expect the same quality Korlax always gave them." Ethan felt panic rise inside him. "I don't know how to cook alien food," he admitted. Serana looked calm, but her voice had a firm tone. "You must learn, Ethan. This place is not just a restaurant. It is a shelter, a shield, and a secret." That last word made Ethan freeze. A secret. Korlax had left him a secret disguised as a business. And now he was standing in the middle of it without any idea what the secret was. Serana showed Ethan the alien kitchen machines. Some looked like normal ovens and stoves, but others were strange boxers with floating buttons and glowing tubes. Even stranger were the ingredients: jars filled with blue paste, silver seeds, and long purple fruits that moved on their own. Ethan felt like he was walking into a science lab rather than a kitchen. "You will take orders," Serana said. "I will cook today. You will watch." Ethan nodded gratefully. If there was one thing he could do, it was write things down and listen. When the restaurant opened, the air changed. Heavy footsteps echoed outside. Deep voices spoke in strange languages. Lights flickered as different kinds of aliens stepped inside. Tall, short, furry, metallic. Some with multiple eyes, some with none. Ethan felt his throat go dry. He had never been so close to creatures like this before, but Serana moved with confidence. She greeted them in their languages. She handed out menus. She acted like everything was normal. Meanwhile, Ethan tried not to panic as he took orders. One customer wanted steamed fireworm eggs. Another wanted chilled iron leaf tea. A large armored alien wanted 6 plates of something called drask soup, which smelled like burning metal. Ethan held the notepad tightly to stop his hands from shaking. Luma sat behind the counter, swinging her legs and watching everything with bright, curious eyes. Every few minutes, she looked toward the door as if expecting something, or someone, during a quiet moment. Ethan asked her, "Do you like living here?" Luma nodded. "Yes, Papa said it is a safe place," she replied. She paused, then added softly, "Or it was safe." Those words made Ethan's stomach twist. Safe from what? Safe from who? The day continued until evening. Then, as the sky outside turned dark, Serana looked at Ethan seriously. "The night shift is different," she said quietly. "Different how?" Ethan asked, feeling uneasy. Serana pointed to the heavy metal locks on the front door. "We do not lock these doors at night," she said. "We never lock the restaurant at night." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "What? Why not?" Serana took a deep, slow breath. "Because some guests come only at night," she said. "And they do not like locked doors." Before Ethan could ask anything else, a deep, slow thud echoed outside. Then another, then another. Each step sounded like something huge was approaching. The walls trembled slightly. Luma immediately held Serana's hand. Ethan felt a cold wave run down his spine. The door slid open by itself. a towering alien entered, wearing dark armor scratched with battle marks. His eyes glowed orange as he scanned the room. Everyone went silent, even Serana froze. The armored alien walked straight to Ethan. He leaned close, and his voice sounded like grinding metal. "Human," he growled. "Where is Korlax?" Ethan's heart pounded so loud he could hear it in his ears. He had no idea what to say. He had no idea what this creature wanted. But he understood one thing clearly. This night guest was dangerous. And Korlax's past was now stepping right into the restaurant. The armored alien stood inches away from Ethan, breathing like a machine with a broken engine. His glowing orange eyes locked onto Ethan's face as if he could see straight into his thoughts. Ethan swallowed hard, trying not to show fear. "I don't know where Korlax is," Ethan said carefully. "He left me the restaurant." "That is all I know." The alien stared at him for a long, tense moment, then gave a low growl without another word. He turned and walked out the door. Leaving cold silence behind, Serana let out a slow breath. "That was a night seeker," she whispered. "They come only when they smell danger." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What danger?" He asked. Serana did not answer. Instead, she locked eyes with him, and Ethan could tell she was hiding something. After the restaurant closed, Ethan felt too restless to sleep. He walked into the kitchen, hoping to understand this strange place better. The kitchen felt different at night, quiet, but filled with a strange energy. Machines hummed softly, lights flickered, and shadows stretched across the metal floor. Luma sat on a counter, swinging her legs and holding her glowing stone. "You can't sleep," she said. Not as a question, but as a fact. Ethan nodded. "I want to know what Korlax was hiding in this place," he said. Luma tilted her head. "Papa said secrets are heavy," she whispered. "And sometimes secrets try to escape." Ethan frowned. Not sure what she meant, but he continued exploring. He opened cabinets and checked old storage boxes. He read labels on jars and tasted a few things, then quickly regretted it. Almost everything burned his tongue or turned numb in seconds. Finally, Ethan reached the back wall. A large storage shelf was pushed against it. But something about the wall felt strange, like a cold draft of air was leaking through. Ethan pushed the shelf slowly aside, and dust rose up like tiny clouds. Behind the shelf was a small metal door with a faded symbol, Korlax's personal mark. Ethan looked back at Luma. "Do you know about this?" he asked. Luma shook her head. "Mama never let me near this wall," she said softly. That answer only made Ethan more curious. He placed his hand on the small panel beside the door. To his shock, the panel lit up and scanned his palm. A moment later, the door slid open with a hiss. Serana rushed into the kitchen just as the door opened. Her eyes widened in fear. "Ethan, wait," she started, but it was too late. Ethan had already stepped inside. The room was small, dark, and filled with glowing screens. Maps floated in the air, showing star systems Ethan had never heard of. Notes were scattered everywhere, handwritten notes from Korlax. In the center of the room was a device shaped like a crystal wrapped in metal. It pulsed with a soft, warm light. Ethan walked toward it, feeling strangely drawn to it. "What is all this?" he whispered. Serana stood at the doorway, her expression troubled. "This is Korlax's secret lab," she said quietly. "He worked here in the nights. He rarely told me what he was doing." Ethan picked up one of the notes. Korlax's handwriting was fast and messy. The words were short and heavy. "Experiment unstable, Syndicate searching, protect Serana and Luma. Find human with courage." Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. He asked slowly, "Serana? Why did Korlax choose me?" Serana lowered her eyes. "Korlax believed humans have something special inside." She said, "Not strength, not power. Something else," before Ethan could ask more. Something on the desk beeped loudly. A small communicator was blinking. Signaling a recorded message, Ethan tapped it. And Korlax's voice filled the room. "If you are hearing this, I have failed," Korlax said. His voice tired and broken. "The Syndicate is close. Too close. They want the core. They want my research. And they want my daughter?" Ethan's breath caught. Luma held Serana's hand tightly. Her small body shaking, Korlax continued. "The core is dangerous, but it is also hope. I hid it inside the restaurant. But it cannot fall into the wrong hands, Ethan. Protect them at all costs." The message ended with static. Silence filled the room again, but the silence felt heavy and dark. Ethan turned to Serana. "What is the core?" he asked. Serana hesitated. Her voice was soft when she finally answered. "It is the thing the Syndicate has hunted for many years," she said. "And it is the thing that makes Luma special." Ethan stared at the little girl. She looked normal, innocent, fragile, but now everything made sense. Why Korlax hid them. Why the restaurant felt like a fortress. Why the Nightseeker asked about Korlax. Luma was not just a child. She was the key to something powerful. And the Syndicate would not stop until they had her. Ethan looked around the secret room. Maps, warnings, strange machines. Dangerous knowledge. This was no simple restaurant. This was the last safe place for Korlax's greatest secret. And now it belonged to Ethan, a human who had never asked for any of this. But he knew one thing clearly. He could not run away now. Because something far bigger than him was waking up in this kitchen. And soon, the whole galaxy would come knocking on the restaurant door. The next morning, the quiet inside the restaurant felt fake. Like calm air just before a storm, Ethan woke up with a heavy feeling in his chest. The kind you get when you know something bad is coming. Serana was already preparing breakfast. Her movements quick and distracted. Luma sat near the counter, hugging her glowing stone and staring at the door. She didn't smile like usual. She didn't even speak. Ethan knew the child could sense something he could not. Ethan made himself useful and cleaned the tables. But his mind kept returning to the secret room behind the storage shelf. Maps of unknown stars, warnings written in Korlax's rushed handwriting. And the crystal-like device called the core. He couldn't understand half of it. But every instinct in his body told him they were in danger. Serana placed a plate of food in front of him. "You need strength," she said softly. "Today might not be easy," Ethan nodded. But the food tasted like metal and fire in his mouth. Everything on this moon felt strange. Like he was stuck between a dream and a nightmare. When the restaurant opened, the morning customers came in as usual. Friendly traders, tired workers. Small aliens looking for breakfast. Ethan took orders with a smile. But his eyes kept scanning the door every few seconds. Every time the door slid open, his heart jumped. But nothing unusual happened, at least. Not yet. By afternoon, the crowd grew louder. A group of tall, insect-like aliens argued about their bill. Two metallic-skinned travelers asked Ethan if Korlax was still cooking here. Ethan lied calmly, telling them Korlax was traveling and would return later. They accepted the answer, but Ethan noticed the way they stared at Serana and Luma a little too long before leaving. Something about that stare made his skin crawl. As evening approached, Serana whispered. "Close early today." Ethan blinked in surprise. "You said we never close early," he said. Serana shook her head. "We do not lock the doors at night," she said. "But today, I feel a storm." Luma tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Bad people are coming," she whispered. Her eyes glowed faintly, almost like her father's crystal device. Ethan shivered. The child could sense things. Maybe because of the core. Maybe because of something else inside her. Right before sunset, the door slid open again. This time, 3 large figures walked in, each wearing dark armor with sharp edges. Their shoulders had the sigil of the Syndicate, a red triangle with a burning eye in the middle. The room fell silent. Even the machines in the kitchen seemed to hesitate. Ethan stepped forward, trying his best not to look scared. "Welcome," he said. "We are closing soon, but I can still serve." "Where's Corlax?" the leader growled. His voice was deep and cold. It did not sound like a question. It sounded like a threat. Ethan felt his lungs tighten. He forced himself to stay calm. "Corlax is gone," Ethan said. "I run the place now." The leader stepped closer, his armor scraping the floor. "Humans do not belong here," he hissed. "You are lying. Corlax would never leave this place to you." Serana stepped forward with slow, careful steps, her voice calm but sharp. "Corlax trusted him," she said. "You should leave." The Syndicate leader turned toward her, his eyes narrowing. "You again," he said darkly. "You and your child have something that belongs to us." Ethan's blood ran cold. This was it. The Syndicate knew about Luma. Luma grabbed Serana's leg tightly. Ethan stepped between them and the Syndicate soldiers. "You're not taking anyone," he said. His voice shook, but he didn't move. The leader lifted his hand, signaling his men at once. The two armored soldiers reached for their weapons. Serana pushed Luma behind the counter and raised her palm. A burst of blue energy shot forward, knocking one soldier back. Ethan had never seen Serana fight before. She looked like a storm from another world. But the Syndicate soldiers were strong. They advanced again, breaking tables and chairs as they moved. Suddenly, a deep rumble came from the kitchen. The door to the fridge, the one labeled "Do Not Open," began to shake violently. The Syndicate soldiers paused, confused. A claw burst through the fridge door, followed by a roar so loud it rattled the ceiling. A massive creature covered in scales and steam burst out. Its eyes burned like molten metal. Its jaws snapped open, releasing another roar. Ethan stepped back, stunned and terrified. "What in the world did Corlax keep in there?" he whispered. Serana didn't answer, her eyes wide with recognition and fear. The creature lunged at the Syndicate soldiers with lightning speed. Tables shattered, walls cracked, and sparks flew from broken machines. The Syndicate quickly retreated, shouting threats as they fled through the door. The creature stopped in the center of the room. It turned its huge head toward Ethan. Sniffing, Ethan froze. Serana whispered urgently, "Do not move." The creature stared at Ethan for a long, slow moment, then growled softly. It backed into the kitchen and vanished into the shadows as if obeying some unseen command. Silence returned, but the silence felt heavier than before. Ethan felt his knees shake. Serana held Luma close. The restaurant was a mess, broken tables, cracked walls, smoke rising from machines. Ethan finally whispered, the words burning in his mind. "What kind of place is this?" Serana looked at him with tired, sad eyes. "A battlefield," she said. "And the first attack has just begun." The restaurant smelled of smoke and broken machines. Pieces of tables lay scattered across the floor. The lights flickered weakly, as if the whole place was tired from the fight. Ethan stood in the middle of the chaos, breathing hard, trying to understand what had just happened. The creature that burst out of the fridge had vanished like a shadow. No footsteps, no growls, nothing. Almost as if it had never been there. But the damage around them proved it was very real. Serana knelt beside Luma, checking for injuries. The little girl was shaken but unharmed. Her glowing stone pulsed softly in her hands. Like a heartbeat, Ethan walked toward them. "Still shaken himself, Serana," he said softly. "We need to talk." Serana looked up at him, her face tired and full of fear. "Yes," she whispered. "It is time you know the truth." They sat at a half-broken table, the dim lights casting long shadows over their faces. Luma stayed close, listening quietly. Her hands wrapped around the glowing stone like it was the only thing keeping her safe. Serana took a slow breath. Korlax was not just a chef, she began. He was a scientist, a researcher, and a protector. Ethan leaned forward, confused. A protector of what? He asked. Serana's eyes went to Luma. Of her, she said softly. Ethan looked at the child. She looked so small and innocent. How could she be connected to something so dangerous? Serana continued. Korlax discovered something many years ago, she said. Something powerful, something ancient, something the Syndicate would kill for. She pointed at the glowing stone in Luma's hands. That is a piece of the core, she said. But the true core is inside Luma. Ethan stared in disbelief. Inside her? He repeated. Serana nodded, sadness in her eyes. Yes. She was born with it. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. So the Syndicate is not after the restaurant, he said slowly. They are after Luma. Serana's expression tightened. Yes. And they will not stop. Ethan tried to understand how a child could carry something so important. What does the core even do? He asked. Serana hesitated, then answered. It is an energy source created by an ancient race, she said. It can power entire cities, heal dying worlds, or destroy them. Korlax wanted to keep it safe. He wanted to study it, but the Syndicate wanted to use it as a weapon. Ethan sat back, overwhelmed. So Korlax ran, he said. Serana shook her head. No. Korlax never runs, she said softly. He fought, he hit us. And he built this restaurant as a shield. Ethan remembered the strong doors, the strange machines, the heavy metal locks. It made sense now. This place was never meant to be a simple restaurant. It was meant to protect Luma and the core inside her. Ethan's voice was quiet when he finally spoke again. So why did he leave everything to me? Serana looked at him with a sad smile. Korlax trusted humans, she said. He always said humans are full of courage even when they are afraid. He believed you had something special inside you. Ethan laughed weakly. I don't feel special, he said. Serana's smile grew a little. That is exactly why Korlax chose you, she said. He trusted your heart, not your strength. Suddenly, Luma tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Her glowing eyes stared up at him. You are not scared, she whispered. Ethan looked at her, surprised. I am terrified, he said honestly. Luma shook her head. But you still protected us, she said. And Papa said bravery is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to stand anyway. Ethan felt something warm in his chest. A tiny spark of courage he didn't know he had. Serana placed her hand on the table. There is more you must know, she said. Korlax did not just hide a creature in the fridge. Korlax created it. Ethan froze. That monster was Korlax's creation. He asked. Serana nodded. Yes, it is a guardian beast. Programmed to protect this place when danger comes, it responds to Luma's energy. Ethan stared toward the kitchen. So the creature wasn't evil, it was a defender. A silent soldier Korlax left behind. But Serana's face grew worried. The Syndicate will return, she said. They always return. They will bring more soldiers, more weapons, more machines, and next time, they will not run from the guardian beast. Ethan looked around the ruined restaurant, the cracked walls, the broken tables, the scorched kitchen. He thought about running, escaping, going back to Earth. But then he looked at Serana and Luma. They had nowhere else to go. He took a deep breath. What do we do now? He asked. Serana looked at him with hope and fear mixed together. We prepare, she said. We fight back. Ethan slowly nodded. For the first time since stepping into this alien world, he did not feel like a visitor. He felt like someone with a purpose. Someone standing between danger and a fragile family. The Syndicate wanted Luma, but they would have to go through Ethan first. And he had no intention of letting them win. The night after the attack was painfully quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that made Ethan feel watched even when no one else was around. The restaurant was still damaged, the walls cracked, tables broken, and scorch marks spread like dark scars across the floor. But inside Ethan, something had changed. He no longer felt like a lost outsider. He felt like someone who had to protect this place. Serana stood by the window, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She watched the empty streets outside the restaurant. "The Syndicate will not wait long," she whispered. "They never forgive, and they never stop." Luma sat on the counter. Hugging her glowing stone, her small feet swung nervously, tapping the metal surface. Ethan walked into the kitchen, determined. "I need to learn everything," he said, "not just cooking, but how to use the machines, how to fight, how to defend this place." Serana looked at him with a mix of surprise and sadness. "You are human," she said. "You should run before they return." Ethan shook his head firmly. "This is my place now," he said, "and I won't leave you two alone." Serana studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well," she said. "If you wish to fight, then you must learn the tools of this world." She started with the basics. Alien defense tech hidden inside kitchen items. A ladle that could charge with electrical energy. A chopping board made from compressed star metal that could block plasma shots. A frying pan with a gravitational core that could throw attackers backward. Ethan stared in awe. "These are weapons." Serana nodded. "Corlax believed a kitchen can be more dangerous than a battlefield," she said with a faint smile. Luma giggled softly. "Papa used the frying pan to stop a thief once," she said. The image made Ethan laugh for the first time in days. Training began immediately. Serana moved fast, like a warrior who had fought many battles. She showed Ethan how to swing the star metal board like a shield, how to channel energy into the glowing ladle, how to use the gravitational pan to slam into the ground and create a shockwave. Ethan struggled at first. He dropped the ladle. He almost knocked himself over with the pan. He hit the wrong button on a machine and filled the entire kitchen with sticky green foam. Luma laughed so hard she fell off the counter. Even Serana smiled, but Ethan didn't give up. He wiped off the foam and tried again, hour after hour, strike after strike. Sweat running down his face, arms shaking, but heart burning with determination. Serana watched him closely. "You improve fast," she said. "Humans learn differently." With emotion, Ethan wasn't sure if it was a compliment or a warning, but he accepted it as the night grew deeper. Luma suddenly stiffened. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before. "Someone is coming," she whispered. Ethan froze. "Is it the Syndicate?" Luma nodded slowly, fear in her small voice. "Yes." "And many of them." Serana grabbed Ethan's arm. "You're not ready," she said urgently. Ethan clenched his fists. "I'll never be ready if I hide," he said. He lifted the star metal board and held it like a shield. Serana stared at him for a long, silent moment, then nodded. They prepared for battle. Serana secured the doors, but did not lock them, remembering the rule. The guardian beast growled from somewhere in the shadows of the kitchen. Sensing danger, Luma stood in the center, holding her glowing stone that now shined like a small star. Footsteps echoed outside, heavy, organized, marching in perfect rhythm. Then the door slid open. A whole squad of Syndicate soldiers entered, their armor dark and marked with red symbols. One soldier pointed at Serana. "Give us the child," he demanded. Ethan stepped forward, shield raised. "You're not touching her," he said. His voice steady, even though fear shook inside him. The soldiers opened fire. Plasma shots flew across the room. Ethan blocked them with the star metal board, sparks flying everywhere. Serana unleashed a burst of blue energy that sent two soldiers crashing into the wall. Luma's glowing stone pulsed, and the guardian beast charged out of the kitchen. Roaring like a storm, Ethan used his new skills. He slammed the gravitational pan into the floor, sending a shockwave that knocked 3 soldiers off their feet. He hurled the charged ladle at a soldier, hitting him in the chest with a burst of electricity. He fought clumsily, imperfectly, but with everything he had. The Syndicate leader from before stepped inside, his orange eyes burning with rage. "You are only human," he growled. Ethan lifted the shield again, breathing hard. "Funny," he said with a shaky smile. "Korlak said that was my best quality." The leader lunged forward. Sword raised, Ethan braced himself, but before the blade reached him, a beam of light shot from Luma's stone. Hitting the ground between them, the entire room shook. The soldiers stumbled back, terrified. The leader hissed in anger and signaled retreat. "We will return," he warned, "next time. Not even the beast will save you." The Syndicate soldiers vanished into the night. Ethan collapsed to his knees. Exhausted but alive, Serana caught Luma in her arms. Relief flooding her face, the guardian beast curled in the shadows again. Calm, as if nothing had happened, Ethan looked around the ruined restaurant and whispered, "I guess I really am part of this family now." Serana placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You are more than that," she said softly. "You are our protector." Ethan knew the Syndicate would return stronger next time. They always did, but for the first time, he believed he might be ready. The human had learned how to fight back. The restaurant was silent again, but not the same silence as before. This silence was heavy, full of dust and cracked walls and broken machines, full of memories of glowing weapons, roaring beasts, and Syndicate screams. Ethan stood in the middle of the ruined dining hall, breathing slowly, trying to calm the tremble in his hands. Serana sat on a fallen beam, holding Luma close. The little girl's glowing stone flickered softly, pulsing like a heartbeat that matched her small chest. The guardian beast rested deep in the shadows, its huge eyes watching the room with strange patience. For a moment, everything felt still. Almost peaceful, but Ethan knew better now. Peace never lasted long around this restaurant. Serana stood up and walked to Ethan, her expression soft and serious. "You protected us," she said quietly. "You fought like someone who has been part of this world for years." Ethan wiped sweat from his face. Breathing out slowly, "I fought like someone who didn't want to die," he joked weakly. For the first time that day. Serana smiled, a small, tired smile, but real. Luma walked toward Ethan and held his hand, her glowing eyes lifted to meet his. "You didn't run," she said in a tiny voice. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "I couldn't," he whispered. "You're my family now," Serana blinked, surprised by his words, but she didn't deny it. Instead, she placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Then you must learn the final truth," she said. Ethan's heart tightened. Another truth? Another secret? He wasn't sure how many more he could handle. Serana led him to the hidden room behind the shelf, the place where Korlak kept his maps, his warnings, his research. The dim screens flickered weakly, like they were waiting for someone, waiting for Ethan. Serana pointed at a device on the table, a round crystal communicator with a faint blue glow. "It activated after the battle," she said. "It must be a timed message from Korlak." Ethan stepped closer. Nervous but determined, he placed his hand on the device. And the room filled with soft light. Korlak's voice echoed calm but tired. "If you are hearing this, my fears have come true," he said. "The Syndicate has found you." Ethan swallowed hard. Korlak continued. "I chose Ethan because humans see value in things others fear. Humans protect, not because they are strong, but because they care. Serana, Luma. If Ethan stands with you, then there is still hope." Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. Korlak trusted him even before he arrived. Serana placed her hand on Ethan's arm. Steadying him, Corlax's voice changed. "Becoming heavier, the Syndicate will not stop," he said. "They believe the core inside Luma can change the galaxy. They want control. But the core chooses only those with pure hearts." Ethan looked at Luma. She watched the hologram with wide, sad eyes. Corlax continued, "If they capture her, the entire galaxy will fall into darkness. But if she is protected, she may bring light where darkness has grown." The message flickered for a moment. Then Corlax spoke again in a softer voice, "And Ethan, my friend, I am not dead," he said. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Serana gasped quietly, covering her mouth. Luma's stone pulsed bright with excitement. "I cannot return yet," Corlax said. "But I am searching for a way to end this when the time is right. I will come back for my family." The message faded into silence, leaving Ethan stunned, leaving Serana trembling, leaving Luma smiling as tears formed in her glowing eyes. Ethan whispered, "So he's alive." Serana bowed her head, her voice shaking. "Yes." "And still fighting." Ethan stood straighter, something strong rising inside him. "If he is fighting out there," he said, "then we fight here." Serana nodded, "And together. We survive." The restaurant needed repairs. Tables needed rebuilding, walls needed fixing. Machines needed rewiring, but for the first time, Ethan wasn't afraid of the work because he wasn't alone. Days passed. Ethan repaired the dining hall piece by piece. Serana upgraded the kitchen defenses. Luma painted stars on the walls to make the place feel warm again. Sometimes the guardian beast helped by carrying heavy metal. Sometimes it slept for hours in the shadows like a giant pet. Customers slowly returned, some curious, some loyal, some grateful the Syndicate forces had been driven out. The restaurant felt alive again. Not perfect, not safe, but alive. One night, while Ethan cleaned a table, he noticed something strange through the window. Far away, on the rooftop of a distant building, a dark shape watched them. Tall, still, almost familiar. When Ethan blinked, the shape vanished into the shadows. He whispered to himself, "Corlax, was that you?" No answer came, but Ethan smiled, because he knew the truth now. He wasn't just running a restaurant. He wasn't just protecting a family. He was part of something bigger, something powerful, something worth fighting for, and in the heart of a dangerous galaxy. A human, an alien mother, a glowing child, and a silent guardian beast stood together, waiting for the day Corlax would return, ready for whatever came next. Their story was not ending. It was only beginning.